Welcome to our next unit from Soflex Math. Today we are going to be working on multiplying fractions. And the proper fractions we're going to multiply today are going to be a little bit simpler than our previous adding and subtracting unit, I think. So this one's a little bit easier. You're just going to multiply straight across the top or straight across the bottom. And basically you're just going to have to simplify some of your answers. We'll also look at something called cross-canceling to make the numbers a little bit simpler to work with in case you have greater numbers. And we'll show you what that looks like in a couple of examples as well. So let's jump right in here. So let's take a look at our first yellow problem. So we have 2/7 times 1/6. So what we're going to do for these, kind of the rule, it's kind of simple here. So what you're going to do is you're just going to go take the numerators and multiply straight across, and then the denominators, and you're going to multiply straight across. So it's pretty simple. 2 times 1 is 2. 7 times 6 is 42. And that's it. And then obviously you have to simplify your answer. So in this case, we're going to have to divide the top and the bottom by the greatest common factor. And remember, we only know 1 and 2 are the only factors, so we're going to divide these both by 2, which is basically dividing them in half. So we end up with 1/21 is our final value. Okay, so 2/7 times 1/6 actually equals 1/21. All right, let's look at our second example down at the bottom. And down there we have 3/5 times 7/8. So same way, we're just going to multiply across the top to get 21. Multiply across the bottom, 5 times 8, to get 40. Okay, so our first two examples, they were already in simplest form, so we started out kind of easy. Multiply across the top, multiply across the bottom. So pretty simple there. All right, but let's look at some that are a little bit, maybe a little more challenging just because you either have to simplify it or we'll talk about something called cross-canceling or cross-dividing. So let's take a look at a couple of those examples. All right, so the next one, we have 5/6 times 1/4. So once again, in this one, there is nothing to simplify, so we're just going to go 5 times 1. Real nice mental math, you know. So we got a 5, and then 6 times 4 is 24. All right, let's look at this one. A little bigger numbers, 12/13, which would mean you have to multiply 12 times 1, which is easy, but 13 by 6 you probably can't do real easily in your head. So remember how we said we could simplify before we do problems? So you can take a number from the top and a number from the bottom. So 12 and 13 we can't simplify. 1 and 6 we can't simplify. But the 12 and the 6 across we can. We can divide both of those by 6, the greatest common factor. So if I did that, 6 divided by 6 becomes 1. 12 divided by 6 becomes 2. And now look how easy our math is going to be. 2 times 1 is 2. 13 times 1, 13. That is a lot easier to do than to do 12/13 times 6. So let's take a look. Let's look again at what we just did. So we simplified the 12 and the 6. We decided we can divide both those by 6. We know that those are both factors of 6. So 6 divided by 6 is 1. You have to do the same thing. 12 divided by 6 is 2. 2 times 1 is 2. 13 times 1 is 13. So the cross-canceling there was really easy. So let's take a look at another one where we can cross-cancel or simplify to help us out. All right, so let's look at the one in orange. So here's another example where this would be a very, very possibly difficult problem. 22 times 14. We can save ourselves a lot of work by cross-canceling out. So we can do it twice on this one. So let's take a look at our 11 and our 22. We can divide both of those by 11. 11 by 11 is 1. 22 divided by 11 is 2. All right, and let me use maybe a different color just to show this other part of it. So we can also go this way, the 7 and the 14. 7 divided by 7 is 1. 14 divided by 7 is 2. So this big problem with 11/14 times 7/22 becomes 1/2 times 1/2. So 1 times 1 is 1, 2 times 2 is 4. All right, so look at that. 11/14 times 7/22 equals 1/4 when we simplified everything out. All right, so let's take a look at our green problem here. 7 times 4, 28. 9 times 5 is 45. So we have some pretty big numbers here, but they do not have anything that we can divide by. So none of the same besides 1. So 28/45 is in simplest form, even though it's a little bit of a greater number, or bigger numbers on the numerator and denominator. All right. So once again, if you have larger numbers, feel free to cross cancel to simplify the numbers you're working with, and then you still multiply straight across. Once you have your simplified stuff, you still multiply across the top and bottom just like you do with our other problems where we don't have to do any simplification before we start. Anyway, so go ahead and give those a try. Leave any questions in the comments, and we'll see you in our next lesson of Soflex Math.